I want to think this thing through, and I want to do it here. Posterity's sake, right? We like to say everything's connected around here, right? Science, spirituality. Religion is a human concept. Let's just call it spirituality. Because we all have this connection to a source. We don't know what it is. Some people call it a matrix. Some people call it God. Some people call it source. Everybody in science calls it universe. I like Star Wars' interpretation personally. It's always felt more like that. Division is a human concept. Do you guys know that? We're not meant to be divided. If you look at every other species that exists, the family and community unit is key. Right? So why do we isolate ourselves? Why do we separate ourselves? Why do we allow that? Why do each and every one of us think that we are separate, that we are better than? Right? What's up? So, how's it going, guys? So take religion as a whole and just toss it out, right? Religion is a human concept, right? It's a human interpretation. It's not a fundamental piece of the universe. When does everything always go according to plan, usually? When you're going with the flow. But going with the flow isn't it's a human concept, but it's not a societal concept, we'll say, right? It's not something that, as a society, they like to embrace, correct? So it's a human concept. It's a personal concept. Going with the flow. But where does that come from? And why is it always that going with the flow goes against societal norms, societal... Have you ever sat down and realized that how we live life is completely against the flow of the universe? How human beings live. I would say excluding how, like, Native Americans lived back in 1800s and before we fucked with them. I would say that's more going with the flow. That's more going with nature. That's more going with the universe. So, why does everything go wrong for us? Well, because we're living against the flow. Whatever you want to call it, flow, God, source, universe, we're living against the norm. So how would anybody be able to capitalize on a system that goes against the norm? Right? Think about that. Like, beyond your assumptions of me, beyond you guys wanting to shit post down there, which I leave it open for you guys to do graciously because I'm a fucking savage. I don't give a fuck. But think about that. How human beings live is against the rule of thumb for nature, for animals. These four walls make you guys forget we are animals. And it has always been eat or be eaten. We just put ourselves above where the natural flow is at. We think ourselves better, correct? I would think so. Everybody has this natural assumption that I'm better than you. And that's something that's been ingrained in us. And none of us ever ask why. Right? Why are you innately told to think you're better than the next person? Why are we brought into this world and taught that? Why? Everything we do, everything the way it's been structured, provably since Constantine ruled the Roman Empire, has been against the natural flow of things. How we live life today, how we celebrate, how we worship, how we do everything is against the natural flow of the universe. Sit down and think about that for a second. Like, truly embrace that. What happens? I did a little funky one last night for you guys, right? It was like a minute 44. If you just pull it up to look at it, there's 3 views and 4 likes. Tell me how that happened, right? That was the one I did last night. But hold on, my brain's going in a completely opposite direction. So why is it that we're programmed to worship God, right? We come into this world programmed to worship through this religion or that religion. This is what we're taught. Children are not given a choice. We do not discover who we are. We are told, right? We're told. So, some people are lucky enough to get parents that are like, no, we want you to tell us who you are. We want to experience you. Not a lot of people get that. I didn't. But when you sit down, right? Because, like I said last night, philosophically, your conscience is God, right? That's what they say. Your conscience is God talking to you. And I left it off with, well, why aren't you listening to God then? Because I would say 99% of us, and that's being generous, ignore our intuition. Right? Most of us ignore our intuition. We bury it because we feel like we have to accommodate our partner, or we have to accommodate our job, or we have to accommodate our family, right? These are things we all have to do. So we bury our intuition. We bury that voice in the back of our head that in any situation you come into tells you immediately what to do, what to say, and you might not even understand it, right? You might not even understand it. But every time you enter into a situation, that voice in the back of your head tells you to do something. It tells you what to do. And that's why it says your gut reaction, that first reaction is always the right one. That's your intuition talking. And like they like to say in philosophy, right? God talks through your intuition, so why aren't you listening to God, right? Because we all bury our intuition to fit in with the world and everything else. And what did we just get done talking about? Society, at least for the last 2,000 years, is against nature. It's against the flow. So naturally, it would be against God. Right? Right. So, how can any of us call ourselves holy or just if we believe in a divine power? If the natural flow of things is going one way and we're going another, we can't say that we believe in him. We can't say that we follow his path. We can't say anything like that, because our ego, our everything is telling us we're better. And anytime anyone wants to give into being a better person and going with the flow, what are you taught to do? You're not taught to embrace them. You're not taught to celebrate them. You're taught to put them down. Why? You're taught to think yourself better than everyone. Why? Legitimate questions. Things that I keep bringing up all the time. But these are legitimate questions. Why? Why does our intuition tell us to go one way and society tells us to go another? That is a legitimate question. Why is everybody taught to put that kind of person down when your intuition is God talking to you, right? But society, religion, everything will teach you to put that person down, not to believe them. But going against the grain, right? Going against the grain is actually the flow of the universe. Getting back to being one with everything, right? When you're happy and you're carefree and you truly don't think that you have a care in the world, I need to take a drink, hold on. When you go with the flow, how do things usually turn out for you? Compared to when you go off of what you're told. That's why I like the expression, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. It's like, yeah, you can tell me whatever you want to tell me, but my intelligence and my intuition have gotten me to this point in my life, and regardless of my current situation, I've been very successful relying off of it. You could call me a threat. You really could. So, why don't you live a life based off your intuition? Let your intuition guide you, and let your logic follow, so you don't get yourself in trouble, right? If intuition is God, then let your intuition lead and use your logic second. It's not choosing one or the other, right? Because division has been something that they've put in our heads. Because I'm disabled, I'm different than you. Because you might be black, you're different than me, right? Because you're gay and I'm straight, we're different. These are all concepts that did not exist pre-2,000 years ago. They did not. And it's provable. This entire thing is based on a lie. Not that God doesn't exist, but it's based off a very, very deep-seated just ugly atrocity of a vague truth. it pisses me off. And I think I might be the only one that it pisses off. But that's okay. Because at least I know the truth. A lot of people be like, yeah, right. Whatever. No, you don't. But, no, it's... Once you sit down and you put the puzzle pieces together for yourself, right? Because they've been there in front of our faces our whole damn lives. We just choose not to see them. We choose not to embrace them. Like, I bet none of you know the original definition of apocalypse. From ancient Hellenistic Greek. I bet none of you even either know or remember, if you were taught at one point or another, what the word apocalypse actually means. It's basically to reveal the truth. Not the end of all things. Apocalypse means to reveal the truth. But you guys didn't know that. Bet you didn't know that. It's very funny, the lies we can believe, because they've been perpetuated for generations upon generations upon generations. And you know what the funny thing is it all connects. Scientifically, spiritually, whatever way you want to slice it, it all says the same thing. Did you guys know that? I bet you guys didn't know that. Because no matter what you call them, Yahweh, God, Shiva, Vishnu, whatever interpretation you want to take, it's the same damn thing. Did you know that? Did you guys know that? I bet you didn't. Called a Buddha brat. Maybe you guys should go look that up. No matter what you worship, it's the same damn thing. Look up Buddha brat, and you'll know what I'm talking about. And you guys want to call me crazy. And you guys want to shitpost on me, and you want to do that. You're all fucking pathetic.